Welcome to the first ever Sports Cube live show. I'm your host, Daniel Shalam, bringing you the latest in the sports world. But today we are live, and we have a great show for you today. We have the Marlins getting COVID. What's going to happen? What does that mean for this team? Is the MLB season going downhill already? Secondly, we have, of course, the trade, the one and only Jamal Adams, as he is off to the Seahawks. Did the Jets win this trade? And also on top of that, we have the potential news that Jadeveon Clowney could be heading to the Jets. All this and much more is coming up right now, so let's get into it. And the phone lines are open, so feel free to call our number 929-357-4699 to be featured on the show. So here we go. First caller up, and we are ready to go here tonight. Here we go. First caller up. Let's see what they have to say.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, caller. What do you want to talk about?
Do you think the Major League Baseball will continue with all the COVID-19 latest developments?
I mean, I've heard about that, right? The Miami Marlins did have another outbreak, and that did cancel Yankees versus Phillies. And I don't see that the MLB season goes on for much longer. If we're already having outbreaks within the first series of the MLB season, I don't know how this will go along any further. What do you think, caller?
Yeah, I believe you're right. I don't think they're going to make the 64-game schedule anytime soon. They probably call it off within a month.
I mean, I would expect so, because even for the hometown Yankees and Mets you saw when they played each other, I just don't think the season is viable. I don't think it's going to be able to happen, and I don't see it happening. So I think that this season will eventually get terminated, but how far do you think they're going to go, caller? What do you think?
I think they'll probably go into the first month and then hang it up.
Yeah, I could definitely see that as well. Caller, is there anything else you want to talk about before we let you go?
No, that was good. Thank you for the answer.
Thank you, caller.
I appreciate your show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. And yeah, just like that caller was saying, we really don't know what is going to happen here. Of course, we know that the Miami Marlins did have at least 14 staff, meaning that there could be a lot more. Again, we don't know really what is going to happen here. I personally thought that the MLB season wasn't even going to get off the ground, but now we see that you can't really enforce social distancing in the MLB. You see behind the plate there's catcher, pitcher, and then you've catcher, pitcher, umpire, and the batter, meaning that you just have three people clustered in one place, and that just is not viable for this MLB season. So I think that this season will go under, unfortunately, although I really don't know what's going to happen. But so for the Yankees, they did take 2 out of 3 against the Washington Nationals due to a very costly mistake by the Washington Nationals. Some very bad base running here by the Nationals pinch runner. It was man on second, no outs. In the bottom of the ninth, the Nationals were down 3-2 against the Yankees. And honestly, the guy stole from second base. He stole to third, and he overran the steal. He went over the bag and didn't even touch it. He touched it, went over it. Gio Urshela was at third base. He applied the tag, and then that was the game. If the Nationals did get that runner on and kept him on third, with the guy on third, no outs, then I think they would have pulled through in this game. But the Yankees do get a lucky break, and they do win that game. I feel like that the Yankees could have lost that series, but it was a nice show of power seeing Gleyber Torres going 3 for 4 last night. Giancarlo Stanton hitting 2 home runs in the series. It seemed like this Yankees team has some fire. Brittany can close out in the pen, and we've seen that now that we can survive without Aroldis Chapman. The Yankees are super reliant on their bullpen, saying that Paxton had a bad start the other day, and the bullpen was able to carry them through, saying that those expanded rosters allow the Yankees to throw more guys into the pen now. And now, some more scores from across the league. Of course, we know the Phillies and the Marlins did play before the COVID-19 outbreak in the Marlins locker room, and we saw that the Marlins surprisingly took 2 out of 3 against Joe Girardi's Phillies. Again, we don't know if this is just getting back into the groove for the Phillies. Managed by Joe Girardi, they have new additions such as Didi Gregorius from the Yankees and Bryce Harper out in right field along with JT Realmuto behind the plate. This is a dominant team, although they did go 81 and I believe 76 last year. and they need to step it up. If you're getting beaten by the Marlins 2 out of 3, who were a 300 team last year, you need to step it up. I don't know what Joe Girardi has going on in his locker room, but it needs to change, and it needs to change soon. As for some other teams around the league, the Astros did lose to the Mariners surprisingly yesterday. We did not see this one coming. Of course, the Mariners are very, very bad, and I just don't see that they're gonna make the playoffs this year. Of course, it is a shortened season; anything can happen, but I just don't see it. And now some games in action right now. We have Blue Jays versus Nationals. Blue Jays on top 4-1. Nationals not seeming to be able to get off that loss. As for the Blue Jays, it is a complicated situation from the Blue Jays here, as they are, of course, going to Buffalo for their home for their season. And honestly, Toronto didn't want anyone coming in, and I don't blame them. You know, they had to keep going, and they couldn't let anybody in because that's just going to spread COVID, and I totally agree with them not to let anybody in. And it was just a smart move by them, and I think that this will bring a little bit more exposure to Buffalo. Right now, they have the Sabres there. They also have the Buffalo Bills. And I think that we could see this team permanently, possibly, go into Buffalo for the entire year next year. The Blue Jays are a solid team. They're a young team. They have a solid foundation led by Bo Bichette, Yurdy Scoriel, and Kevin Biggio, who is Craig Biggio and also Dante Bichette's sons. And I think that this team is going to be a powerhouse team, but the Tampa Bay Rays are going to get there first. The Rays, led by their dominant pitchers like Charlie Morton, Tyler Glasnow, and these guys just don't stop. They're unbeatable, and they almost actually took down the Astros last year in the ALDS, going 3-2 to a Game 5 in Houston. And speaking of the playoffs as well, there's a lot to tackle there. The playoffs now got expanded from 8 teams to 16 teams across the board, meaning that, let's say, for example, the AL East now, 2 top teams in the AL East, for example, the Yankees and the Red Sox, would make it across the board. You go AL Central, Indians, Twins make it, and in the AL West, you have Angels, Astros make it. And then the top 2 teams remaining would be the designated wild cards, meaning that they would be the 8 and 7 seeds. So just say there you get the Oakland A's and the Detroit Tigers, for example. Those would be the teams, and this is shocking because we've never seen this before, and I feel like it kind of takes that effect of the pressure off of these guys, but in a sense puts on more pressure, because teams like the Marlins and the Tigers and the Orioles can now go out and get into the playoffs where they wouldn't be able to before. And I think that management is really going to push, and they're going to want to make it. You know, the Orioles actually did win 2 out of 3 in their series, and I think that in the future, they will be able to even maybe sneak into a wild card, which I could see happen. It would be fascinating to see. You know, this Orioles team has really struggled for a long time now. But I think that they could make it into the playoffs. And some other scores now from the NL West. Of course, those are out in California. Right now, the Diamondbacks and Padres did play 6-2 Padres. Padres win the series 3-1. Angels Athletics, the Athletics win 3-0. They take that series. And then across the board, the Braves clobbered the Mets last night 14-1 in a full-on devouring of the Mets. You know, the Braves just didn't stop, and they were just so dominant. Led by Dansby Swanson, Ronald Acuna Jr. They started in the first inning, scoring 2 runs. Mets put up a run in the second. But then the Braves just went at it, scoring 5 runs in the third, 2 in the fourth, a run in the fifth, 2 in the sixth, and the seventh. And it was just crazy. And I just think that this Mets team, you know, they're great. They are good right now. I think they could make a wild card with Yoenis Cespedes in that DH spot. And I don't know, man. I think really that the Mets could make it into the playoffs if they really utilize their bullpen and use that pitching staff that they have. They have a dominant force in Jacob deGrom. They need to take advantage of that DH rule. That's probably never going to happen again. They need to take advantage of that, and they need to use that right now so that they can progress, maybe make the playoffs, make a run. We could see a Subway Series, Yankees-Mets again, like in 2000. And I don't know. I really think that they can make it. But it's fully dependent on if they can utilize the strategy. Of course, they have a new manager there. But I think that the Mets can make it if they just stay consistent. They do have a tough schedule going into the first part, but I think that they can make it. And then some more scores from around the league now. Giants and Dodgers, the LA Dodgers, who are supposed to be one of the best teams in baseball, drew 2-2 in their series with the San Francisco Giants, who are in a major rebuild right now. No one sees them coming back anytime soon. I think that led by Cody Bellinger and Mookie Betts, a big acquisition for the one of the best in the game right now. I think that the Dodgers do make the World Series here. It's a big leap for them. They have made it, but they've been clobbered by AL teams every single time. And honestly, I think that these teams are just more powerful than the Dodgers. Of course, they have the new Mookie Betts. But let's just say it's a Yankees-Dodgers World Series. How do we see this playing out, right? You got the Yankees on one side, Gleyber Torres, Aaron Judge, Luke Voit, Giancarlo Stanton, along with Garrett Cole as their ace. Who do you have on the Dodgers side, on the pitching side of things? I honestly can't name one pitcher alongside of Joe Kelly. I can't. And then if you look at their power hitting, sure, they have power hitters like Justin Turner, players like Cody Bellinger, and Mookie Betts. But again, I don't think you win the World Series without pitching. Pitching is essential, and they need to have it to win. Again, I've restated this. Pitching is the key to World Series in my opinion. That's why the Yankees didn't win the first time around. When they went to the ALCS against the Astros in 2017, that team was young. They didn't quite have the pitching though. They made it all the way to Game 7, and I'm not sure why Joe Girardi got fired. I don't think he had a great relationship with the players at that time, but you can't really leave that. You got to leave that alone. But as for when they went back in 19 last year, they made it to Game 6. And the reason they came up short is because they had to pitch their bullpen in Game 6. And it was really tough for them to succeed. And I don't think that they succeed. That's why they go sign Garrett Cole and get him into the Yankees uniform. They didn't have the pitching. They had Masahiro Tanaka, Luis Severino, who was always injured, and the Yankees are prone to injury. So I don't see how they make it again without pitching, and they got the pitching. And that's all for teams across the league too, like the Oakland A's. They get knocked out in the wild card because they don't have the pitching. Again, no World Series without the pitching. But I want to transition now to the trade. The New York Jets traded away their best player. You heard me right, their star player, safety Jamal Adams, to the Seattle Seahawks. Now you might be wondering to yourself, why would they trade away their best player? And I'll tell you why. Jamal Adams was a toxic force inside of the Jets community. He kept emphasizing and hating on management and could never really focus on the team and kept trashing them. And the Jets knew what they had to do. They had to trade him away, and they got the best value possible for this guy. Seattle, in return, gave them 2 first-round picks, which is a bargain and a great win for the Jets here for Jamal Adams. They get a first-round pick in 2021, this upcoming draft, and another one in 2022, along with a third-round pick in 2022, with another safety, Bradley McDougald, coming across the country to New York. Now, I think the Jets definitely won this trade, saying that Jamal, while he is one of the best safeties in the league, it's going to hurt a little bit. But how much hope can you really have as a Jets fan right now? You trade away your star player, and you gotta hope Joe Douglas is going to do something with these draft picks. Otherwise, you're in a pit of despair and hope that you're never going to get out of. You gotta hope that you really get there, and you got to win. Now, as for the Jets, I think they do win this trade. Joe Douglas has done a great job, drafted Mekhi Becton first-round offensive lineman, and he needed it. The Jets have been getting trashed for their O-line over the years. Sam Darnold was seeing literal ghosts last year, and they stepped it up big time. Now, again, I think that the Jets win this trade, no doubt. They got a first-round pick, 2 first-round picks, and a strong draft class coming up. And they need to improve their wide receiver base for Sam Darnold for him to be able to succeed. And as I was saying before, too, Jadeveon Clowney, actually, there's a rumor going around that he might want to come to the New York Jets after his teammate Bradley McDougald got traded over to the Jets. He FaceTimed Clowney, who's the defensive tackle, one of the best in the league, top 3. And Clowney wanted to come over to the Jets. He said, let's make it happen. He is a free agent. He's allowed to be signed. He's no longer with Seattle. He's a free agent. No clauses on him. And I think that he will benefit this Jets team, their defensive line, so much. And I think this will help them in the future. You know, the Jets, they do have an okay offense. Sam Darnold was a great pickup for them. He's the franchise QB. But they need to build pieces around him, and that starts with the O-line and allowing Le'Veon Bell, their star running back, to run and have holes to run and be able to switch it outside. And this team is just, it's a good team. They're in a loop. They haven't been to the Super Bowl since Super Bowl III, but they made it to the championship, the AFC championship, you know, versus the Steelers, the Mark Sanchez dynasty. But again, I still don't see this Jets team making it they don't make it. They're not getting anywhere. They're going to be in this endless loop of 8-8 forever. If they don't improve the offense, they traded away Jamal Adams. It's going to hurt them this year. They're not going to have much of a defense, I don't think. They're not going to have much of a defense, and they're just going to need to improve internally. They're going to need to improve internally. And honestly, we don't even know if there's going to be an NFL season this year. We don't really know because COVID is ravaging the MLB. We've seen that within the first series of the MLB. There's COVID. How do we expect there to not be any COVID in the NFL? We don't know. And that's the worst thing about COVID. You don't know what's going to happen. That's just a terrible thing. And we don't know. I really hope there's sports. Of course, up in the NHL, the bubble is starting. There will be playoff hockey on August 1st. We got to hope that is soon. But as for right now, and we have a caller coming in. Let's see who it is. What's up, caller?
Hello. I have a question.
Yeah, what do you want to talk about, caller?
How do you think the NFL is going to prevent COVID from spreading throughout the franchises?
You know, we've seen this around the league. There's been talk about the Oakley face masks, but I don't think it's going to prevent the coronavirus. We've seen this. Everyone has to be masked up, but football is just different than baseball, hockey, and NBA where you can enforce a bubble. Here, there's so many players. There's 52 players per team. And also, there's just no chance to breathe. How are they going to breathe on the field if they're masked up? I don't see it happening, caller. I don't think it's going to happen. What are your thoughts?
Exactly. You see the face masks that Oakley made, and J.J. Watt tweeted, the person who made these obviously has never played football in Texas. There's no way anyone's going to be able to breathe in them. They probably threw it on some factory worker, had him run a few laps here and there, and he said he was fine, so they probably said, oh, this face mask works. Now I think there's no chance for anyone to wear it.
So, caller, do you think that there will be no NFL season then? Do you think it will be canceled?
I think it's going to get canceled a weekend, 2 weeks in.
Just like the MLB. We were talking about this before. Do you think the MLB will be axed as well?
Yeah.
Crazy world. No caller, what are your thoughts, though, on this Jets Jamal Adams trade?
I actually disagree with what you were saying before. I think the Jets completely lost this trade. Even though he said he was requesting a trade a lot, the Jets should have kept him. They have to persevere through whatever he's saying. And he is the best player on their team.
I agree with you, caller, but how can you do that saying that this guy is creating a toxic locker room? How do you think a team can succeed saying that all this is happening? How is that team supposed to be able to function when their star players bashing this team over and over again on social media?
Well, they gotta get their PR team to start standing up for themselves. There's gotta be a way to silence him. Whether it's giving him more money or anything like that. I know they're already paying him a lot, but yeah.
I mean, he's still on his rookie deal. Do you think Seattle goes to a Super Bowl because of this?
Well, they were close last season, and I don't think so, not yet this year. But I think it could definitely help them in the future.
All right, caller, thanks for being with us. But one last thing before you leave. This Jadeveon Clowney rumor, do you think that Jadeveon Clowney goes to the New York Jets?
No.
He's a free agent. I don't see why not. He expressed that he may want to go.
I mean, I guess there's a need for him in New York. New York is the biggest media market in the world, maybe LA, but I think players have a hard time dealing with that, especially what we were talking about before with Jamal Adams. And it takes a strong desire to want to play in New York. And if he expressed that he want to, I think it could happen. But otherwise, I think, yes, there's a need for him on the Jets. I don't see him fitting well on the Jets with their play style.
Do you think that Le'Veon Bell will have an advantage this year, saying the Jets upgraded their offensive line?
Yeah, of course.
All right, caller, thanks for being with us. Back to the show.
Yep.
And I agree somewhat with that, with what that caller was saying. But again, I don't see the Jets team, I don't see them being successful, saying that they have a toxic guy in the locker room who won't shut up and stop bashing the team. Again, I heard that GM Joe Douglas didn't talk to Jamal Adams for about 5 months, but still, I think that you have to trade away a toxic player like that. They have 2 great draft picks now, and they're going to have 2 in the next 2 years. I think that they use these picks. They get another. If they get one quality player like Jamal Adams, they will be happy about this trade. If you even get one. But again, we really don't know what's going to happen. You know, we've seen the Jets draft in the past. We've seen them trade away quality players like Jamal Adams. We don't know. I mean, I know the Jets play style. I think they have to allow Le'Veon Bell to be able to run the ball without being pressured. I think you have to let him. You have to let him run. That's how the Jets and Le'Veon Bell will be able to function and win. Is if they win, they have to let Le'Veon have space. They have to let him pitch out the ball and run with it. Again, I don't see the Jets succeeding with a toxic figure like Jamal Adams. Of course, he's a great player, but he went from Jets for life straight to I hate the Jets, get me out of here in 5 months. He's a goner now. Again, I don't think there's not much more to say on the matter. You know, I think that he's going to have great success in Seattle. I don't know if he's going to make the Hall of Fame, but he will have success in Seattle. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens. And now, of course, to the Premier League, which concluded on Sunday. Championship Sunday in the Premier League. We had a lot going on. We had 3 teams hunting for that Champions League spot. Those 3 teams being Manchester United, Leicester City, and Chelsea. And we knew that Manchester United and Leicester City would be playing at King Power Stadium in Leicester. And we knew, that if Man United won or draw, they would be advancing to the Champions League. And what saved them again? What saved them? VAR. VAR did save them again. As they got a penalty, Bruno Fernandes rips it home, and they win. They are in the Champions League going next year. As for Chelsea, they were playing on the other side of things. They were going on the other side of things here. Get out. I'm actually live show.
I know, I just want to
Get
see.
out.
I want to see.
No, get out. I'm doing a live show.
Stop it, I just want to see.
I'm now not even talking, so please, let me record.
Dad, it's fine. Why can't
Shut up then. What? Let me record, damn it, Sadie.
I am!
No,
I just
stop.
want to see what you're doing. Stop it!
Please.
You're such a jerk!
I'm in the middle of a live show. Stop.
He's on the live radio.
I just want to see
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Sorry about that. We are back. But yeah, Leicester City, of course, and Manchester United went at it. Bruno Fernandes nets on the penalty, and then a bad mistake by goalkeeper Dallas Schmeichel would allow Jesse Lingard, which is ironic here, to net home his first goal of the season to guarantee United Champions League play next year. And this means a lot for United. Now, this brings Jadon Sancho into the picture once again. He wants to come to United. And also, you bring in one more guy. Paul Pogba's here to stay. posted on Instagram, Champions League next year, meaning this is a good time for United as we will see them once again. We'll see them in the Champions League. As for Chelsea, they did win their match as well, winning 2-0. And they are now through to Champions League protection. Sad for Leicester, though. Going into the break, they were up 15 points. United went on a 14-game unbeaten run and then would win the Champions League on their last match day. It was a crazy ride in the Premier League. We didn't know what was going to happen. Of course, Liverpool champions, Leicester City in the Europa League. And speaking for Manchester United, they still have the Europa League to go. They are still in Europa League contention. They're going to go now to Portugal, see what happens. And, they could win. They could honestly win the Europa League. It's a weak field. And I think that they could win. But speaking of the playoffs, we have a caller coming in. Let's see who it is. What's up, caller?
Hey.
What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the Jets.
What do you want to say? I mean, we were covering it before. What do you think about the Jamal Adams trade?
I think Jamal Adams' trade was great for the Jets. I think the Jets got a haul, the best you could have expected. Joe Douglas did a great job. You don't win Super Bowls with safeties. You win them with skill position players.
I mean, what do you say, though, to people that think that the Jets team is not going to be strong without Jamal Adams?
Jets are thin on talent, right? I mean, you got to get more. We need more players. Adams is a great player, no question, but he's a cancer in the locker room. And the Jets need multiple picks. They need more talent. They're not going to win with a great safety. It's not going to happen. So let's get moving on the plan and get some more players in there who can get the job done.
What do you think about Joe Douglas? I mean, he's been a great GM for the Jets, but do you think they succeed, though, still under Adam Gase as head coach?
So far, so good with Douglas. The jury's out on Gase. I'm not a fan. I think a lot of Jet fans I talk to just don't like Gase. He hasn't done anything. What's he ever done? He acts like he's won multiple Super Bowls. This guy's done nothing. I feel he alienates the players sometimes. I got a lot of questions about Gase. This is definitely a make-or-break year for him, I think, Daniel.
I mean, do you really think that if he doesn't make it this year, it's going to be another Todd Bowles situation? He's out?
I think he's got to be out. Yeah. I think the Jets they always tend to wait a year too long to do this. So, I don't think he's the guy to bring the Jets fans to the promised land. I've been watching for 35 years, and Gase is not the guy. I'm telling you that now.
I mean, honestly, though, caller, I think that the Jets could succeed with Jadeveon Clowney rumors going around. It seems like Bradley McDougall wants to bring in his friend.
Yeah, I know. Just flashy move with the Jets, I mean, yeah, that could work, I guess. I mean, he's talented. I mean, I think Douglas has had the right idea. Build it from the offensive line out. Don't get dazzled by the latest thing out there, the old Brett Favre thing with the Jets. Just stay on the plan. Stick to the plan. Build it from the line out, and we'll get there. That's how the great teams do it.
Does Le'Veon Bell succeed this year?
Le'Veon Bell is the man. I have high hopes. I think he's a pro. They got to use him right. I think Gase cost him a lot of yards last year with his usage patterns. But use him right. I think the guy's still one of the top 3 backs in the league.
And then what would you say, now transitioning to baseball, do you think that the whole baseball campaign goes down, saying that the Yankees are now stuck in Philly and the Marlins have COVID?
Yeah, I think it's questionable. I'm kind of worried about it. I mean, I wasn't thinking that before. I thought once they got running, they'd be okay. But if you got games being canceled, I heard something today that said they only have like 6 days to make these games up. So if you're talking multiple weeks here, and what are you going to do, put a AAA roster out for some of these teams? I mean, that's going to be a questionable product. So I'm kind of concerned. 50-50, I think, Daniel.
And then one last thing for you. Do you think that with the expanded playoffs, a team like the Baltimore Orioles could get into the playoffs this year?
I guess anything's possible. We've seen crazier things happen. I don't think it's likely, but I think it's possible. This will definitely make it interesting in a lot more cities, which I think what baseball is hoping for, right? Keep the spark alive in a lot more towns, and I guess it'll be good for the game. It's going to be interesting at least.
Not to cut you off, caller, but speaking of that, what do you think of the Blue Jays move to Buffalo?
I love it. It's great. Why not? For the people of Buffalo, some Major League Baseball. Now we get 3 teams in New York. That can't be bad, right? It'll be fun. I'm sure Buffalo will embrace it, too.
I mean, Buffalo does have hockey and football. And
it's a Major League town.
It is a Major League town. We are going to have to see what happens. But do you think that the NFL season gets off the ground this upcoming year?
Yes, there's a lot of money to be made. I haven't heard of many players squawking about being worried about playing or not. I think the players are going to drive it. So I think if you have a lot of players, momentum starts building, and they start dropping out, it could be a problem. But, a lot of people want to see the NFL. That's the big one of the big four. So I think if they can, they're going to do it.
Yeah, I can see that happening for sure, caller. Anything you want to say before we wrap it up here?
That's it. Great show, Daniel. Keep it going.
Thank you, caller. And you heard it here. That about does it for tonight's show. We appreciate all of our callers. We can't wait to hear you, all of you in the future, as we'll be doing this once to twice a week. It's really fun to go live with all of you, and make sure to see our episodes. They come out every Monday and Thursday. And of course, till the next stream, peace out.